spread, it's a fierce debate, but when it comes to Wildcats, they align their fate. Blitz the bookies where the knowledge reigns. Charlie and Anthony bring the heat like flames. Talking parlays, breaking down the games. Kentucky Wildcats, they beat the same drums.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Blitz the Bookie podcast. I'm Charlie Winkle, joined as always by Anthony Roberts. It is Wednesday of conference tournament week. Kentucky is not playing today. Finished the season strong last week with 2 wins. Moved up to the 6th seed and got the bye. All prayers were answered. We are not playing on Wednesday. I think that was huge for Kentucky, really for any team that wants to try to make a run in the SEC tournament. So there is some basketball today, but it is not the Kentucky Wildcats. We will play tomorrow, but there's plenty of action going on, has been for the last week. We will get into all of the tournament action. There is some news in the NFL, so we'll kind of roll through that quick and then get to what everybody wants to talk about, March Madness. It's here. It's like Christmas. I love March Madness. Sunday is Selection Sunday. I cannot wait. I love conference tournament week, but next Thursday and Friday and Saturday and Sunday of next week, there's not a better 4 days in sports than next Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Charlie, I've always said it is definitely the most exciting tournament in sports. Some will say the best. I'll say the best. You have a situation where one game and you go home. It makes the tournament super exciting. It makes it every basket you're on the edge because you know if you mess up and slip up, you go home. And basketball is just one of those sports where anybody can beat anybody on a given night, especially with the three-point shot and the way the game's set up now. There's really nothing else like it, Charlie, where everything's kind of on the line and you have one rough game and you go home. I don't always crown the best team, but it definitely makes the most exciting tournament.
And I've been having fun watching some of these smaller schools in their conference tournaments. Those games seem like NCAA tournament games because, like we talked about last week, their only chance those teams have is to win their conference tournament. The last few days, there's been 2 or 3 finals each day, and I've been trying to keep track of them. There's been some good ones. I kind of like the small teams, man. I mean, I know they're not going to win the national championship, but watching them play in their conference tournament is fun.
No, it is. And $1 million question for me is, with the NIL, with some of these players from these smaller schools getting plucked, will you still see as many of those upsets that everybody loves in March Madness? I'm interested in seeing it. I could see it both ways, but I will keep an eye on that as we work our way through March.
When the ball's tipped, I don't think anything's going to change. I really don't. Once that ball goes up, anything can happen. We've talked about how it's a little bit different from football. I really don't see it changing. Next weekend, Thursday and Friday, there are going to be some upsets. The cream's going to rise to the top once we get to maybe that second weekend, but next week's going to be fun. I guarantee you there will be some upsets and hopefully some buzzer beaters. I like the buzzer beaters.
No doubt. That's the thing basketball has. I like basketball, but I'm a football guy through and through. But the one thing that
not many walk-off wins in football.
They got the Hail Mary, they got the goal line stand. They're more exciting, but the last second shot in basketball, the last possession, that can be really exciting. It really can. So, like I said, I'm interested to keep an eye on that. I wouldn't be surprised either way for me if we don't see as many upsets or if we've seen a bunch of upsets. I really don't have an opinion on it because I could see it going either way. I could see the angle that a lot of these smaller teams don't have those good players because now they've transferred out to the other schools, and I also see. I hope there is the upset. So I definitely think it makes for a better tournament. It makes for an exciting tournament when you get those upsets. It's part of what makes March Madness. Wouldn't you agree, Charlie?
Oh yeah. Well, the real question is, Anthony, how much work are you going to be doing next Thursday and Friday? You scheduling your work around next Thursday and Friday?
I'll try. We're just really busy right now. But I'm going to try to be able to watch some games. That's for sure.
Yeah, the first Thursday and Friday of the tournament, I hate working those days. If I do, it'll be a short day. The games start about noon. I won't work past maybe 2, 3 o'clock.
You know what's funny is, I work in construction. I'm a contractor. And it always seems like you get past Christmas, January's, so-so, and then February gets kind of slow. And you go through a month where you're a little slow and, you got hit and miss work. And then you wait for the floodgates to open, and they usually do. But it always seems like the floodgates open around the start of March Madness, because I always am thinking, damn, why couldn't this started 2 weeks earlier when I was only working a half a week or something like that? So it always seems to happen. And once again, that's how it's happened to me. It started about a week and a half ago. I got stupid busy again. So it'd be nice if we could sit and watch it during some of our slow times.
Yeah, I'm starting to pick up too, but I'm going to figure out a way to work my schedule where I'm off. Like I said, I'm maybe 2, 3 o'clock on Thursday and Friday, and that's about it for me. I'm sitting my ass in front of a TV Thursday and Friday, and probably Saturday and Sunday too. Yeah, there's not a better 4 days in sports, if you ask me. My wife probably hates it. She don't mind the sports, but those 4 days, I'm not going too far away from any TV.
My wife, Katie, used to always say after March Madness, she gets her husband back. So football, then you go right into basketball. She gets me back on the weekends.
Yeah, they still got 4 more weeks.
That's right.
Before we get started, thank you guys for listening. We appreciate you taking the time out of your day to check us out. Don't forget, continue to like and subscribe on your favorite streaming platforms, and check us out on the Blitz the Bookie Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube pages. All right, guys, we will get back to the college basketball pretty quickly here. We're not going to spend too much time on the NFL. I know everybody's going to – it's basketball time. It's not really football right now, but the league year did just start, so there is a lot of movement going on. So I just feel like we got to touch on some of that stuff before we get to the basketball. So if you're just here for the basketball, just hang tight. We're going to get right back to it, I promise.
Before we get in the NFL, I'd just like to mention the passing of University of Louisville NBA business superstar Junior Bridgman. A lot of people around here know him. A lot of people know him throughout the United States. He was an All-American at U of L. He was drafted number 8. I think that was 1975. But he just passed away of a heart attack at 71 years old. For those of you that don't know, he ranks number 4 of wealthiest athletes after retirement of all time. He died with net worth of $1.4 billion. Charlie, he never made over $350,000 a year in the NBA. So he made where a lot of these athletes make it through sports or their brand. He made his through business. He was involved with Wendy's. I think
he owned a couple hundred of them.
Yeah, I think it was like 110 Wendy's he owned. He then owned Ebony and Jet magazine. He's been involved in a lot of things, helping the youth, different things around town. He did die in Louisville at 71 years old. I think that's amazing, that a man worth $1.4 billion never made over $350,000 a year playing basketball. I would say most the other athletes that are ahead of him is Michael Jordan, Beckman, and Arnold Palmer. I would say most of those people made their money off sports or off their brand.
Who was the second one? Beckham?
Yep. And,
David Beckham?
Yep. The third one was Arnold Palmer. So he played in Louisville. I think it was from 72 to 75. He was Missouri Valley Player of the Year in 74 and 75. He was drafted number 8 by the Bucks.
They won a title with him, didn't they?
The Bucks?
No, the Louisville.
I'm not sure. I don't think they did.
Was he not on a title team with Louisville?
I don't think he was, but I could be wrong on that. I do know that when he was in the NBA, they said if there had been the Sixth Man of the Year award, he would have won it probably 4 or 5 times. They said he was like the best sixth man in the NBA. That's what he was. Coaches like playing him as a sixth man, a little instant offense. Had a long career, was with the Bucks for a lot of years, then traded to the Clippers for a couple, and then came back and finished his years with the Bucks. So for anybody that knows him around here, people know the name Junior Bridgman. You hear all these athletes, they make money through sports and they build their brand. This guy took the little bit of money, and when I say a little bit, it's a lot to normal people, but in sports terms, that wasn't a lot of money. But he took that money, he was able to flip it. He was a true businessman, a true leader, and you don't see that from a lot of former athletes. A lot of them ride that athletic brand of who they are, and there's nothing the matter with that. I would do the same thing, but this guy was a true businessman that just took the opportunity that he had with the little bit of money he made and was able to turn it into an empire. Just a big shout out to him because he's a big part of our community and what it's all about. So big shout out to Junior Bridgman. We'll miss you.
Yeah. If you listen to Blitz the Bookie, you know we like to give U of L shit. We like to poke at them. But all jokes aside, RIP Junior Bridgman, great guy, great businessman, great player. We'll sit here, we'll mess with Louisville here and there, but from everything I've heard and read about him, it was all positive. So
came from East Chicago in the Indiana area. I guess that's the Gary, Indiana area right there. I know it's a very poverty-ridden area. You don't write story tales like that. Guy that came from nothing, able to build life that a lot of people would only dream of.
Yep. So once again, RIP Junior Bridgman.
Yep.
Great man.
On over to the NFL, Charlie. I'll lead the way with a couple things, and we just pitch it back and forth here. We got some new contracts. Allen got his big deal everybody heard about, Crosby and Garrett. With Cleveland, they were all monster blockbuster deals. Hit some high marks as far as their position. So the teams are happy to get those guys locked in. Aaron Rodgers was cut. He's looking for a new team. I don't know if the way he acted with New York, if anybody will even want him. And some other news.
The pieces are starting to fall with the quarterbacks, though.
They are.
Darnold got signed, right?
Stafford got signed. Yeah.
Where'd Darnold go? Darnold went to Seattle.
Yep. And Geno went to the Raiders.
The Raiders. So the pieces are starting to fall a little bit. And where's Aaron going to go? Tennessee. Is he going to end up in Tennessee?
I don't know. I need him.
The Giants haven't made a move, right?
Yep.
On quarterback yet.
He'd have to make me a big promise.
Pittsburgh got rid of Fields.
Yep.
He signed with the Jets, right? So they still got Russell Wilson. So maybe Pittsburgh, maybe still the Giants, Tennessee. I don't know.
I'll tell you what, Pittsburgh's making some moves. Making some moves. You see where they brought in DK Metcalf?
Yeah, there? But I look, this is going to be a situation like I told you last year when the Jets picked up Davante Adams. What did I tell you? It wasn't going to make a difference. I don't think this is a move that's going to make a difference either. I really don't. Pickens, we already know he's got to have the ball. DK wants the ball too.
DK can block too.
And they don't have an offensive line.
Yeah.
And they don't have a quarterback to throw him the ball. I don't like the pickup. They need work on the offensive line. I like DK, and I think he's a great player. I just don't think that works out.
You know, I know this through my son's card collecting. I've been getting into it with him. Last year, they spent their first-round pick on that offensive lineman, and he actually got hurt a big part of the year, but he was really looking good for them. So keep in mind they're going to get him back. He's got a Hawaiian name, but they used their first-round pick, and I think he actually started off the season really good and just had an injury. So that'd be an important piece. Anybody that uses a first-rounder, he had a great start, just, got injured and wasn't able to play a lot of the season. So they're making some good moves. They also picked up Slade from Philly, the cornerback release. So I like some of the stuff the Steelers are doing.
Look, the Pittsburgh always – they're smart. They make good moves, and maybe they proved me wrong with DK because I like him and I like the Steelers. And I think they're a very well-run organization, so it could work. I just think there's other places that they could have focused on before just jumping in on DK like that. And I did hear that DK Metcalf said he wanted to play for a team that had an established quarterback.
Yeah.
And then he goes to the Steelers. So I'm not sure what's up with that. I don't know, man. Actually, hold on. DK, did he play with Russell? He did, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
I didn't even think about that angle.
Let's ride.
Shit.
Steelers country.
So maybe that's a little reunion there with Russell and DK, but no, I trust the Steelers. but something's telling me that that's not a move that's going to make a big difference for them.
Let's talk about reunions here, because this is a reunion, and I'm going to predict it's going to be a huge success of a reunion, Charlie. It's going to be one that you would love to see if it works. Zach Wilson's reunion back to a half-line offense. Zach Wilson was drafted number 1 by the New York Jets. That train wreck that was going on up there didn't work out. They let him go, traded whatever, and now he's been traded to the Miami Dolphins. He was the number 1 pick, Charlie. They say he has good legs, good arm. The Jets are a wreck. There might still be. I would have took him.
Well, he was with, the Rams or something. Who was he with?
Yeah.
He was backing up for San Francisco or the Rams? Or I don't even know who he was with.
But
somewhere out west.
Look, I've watched the kid play. I think he's got talent. The Jets were a hot mess, dude. I think they're a hot mess. And
we mentioned his name when Tua got hurt last year.
I like Zach Wilson in that offense. It's kind of a quarterback-friendly offense, and I think that's what a guy like Zach Wilson needs. Use his arms, use his legs. He's got ability. He was just drafted number 1. There's no way I'd give up on him if you come from the Jets. That situation, that was a bad situation.
He's still got a shot.
Yeah,
he's still
got a
super
shot.
young, and
This might be a shot.
it might be. You better believe he's going to get a shot because Tua is not going to stay healthy.
You're
He's just not.
You're not drafted number 1 without talent. Now, I've seen plenty of number 1 picks be bust. Okay, but years ago, you seen more of that. You don't see as many quarterbacks nowadays being just pure bust as number 1s. But they really know what to look for now in a quarterback. I'm telling you, that Jets offense was a mess, and he still might not make it in the NFL. But I like to gamble with him. I'm sure they didn't have to give a lot for him. So if he gets a shot, I'd like to see the kid do well.
I really wish they would have picked him up in the middle of the year last year when we needed a quarterback and brought him in, let him get a half a year. Even if he didn't play, he'd be in the system. I wish we would have got him. But look,
number 1 pick.
Kyle McCord, dog. Kyle McCord.
You just got a number 1 pick here.
I'll take Kyle McCord.
I'm with you, but what about if the Jets were a train wreck, which is very possible, and, had a couple years to grow, set back, kind of watch things. You just got a number 1 pick play for a little nothing. Aaron Rodgers even had trouble there. I know he's a mess too, but
the Jets are always a mess.
I mean, but they're a bad mess, dude. Especially on offense. I
don't mind it one bit. I actually kind of like the kid. He definitely has a chance to revive his career. And he's with a young, energetic coach.
I think it fits him more.
It could work. He ain't going to sit and learn too long because Tua is not going to stay healthy.
Yeah.
I wish he would, but he's not.
I think Josh McDaniel, I think he knows what he was going after.
Mike McDaniel?
Yeah, I think he knows what he was going after.
I need Kyle McCord.
You need whoever can win.
Kyle McCord's going to win a Super Bowl. I need Kyle McCord.
They just got a number 1 pick for cheap, dude.
I don't even know what we gave for him, but I'll take it. He's better than Skylar Thompson, I can promise you that.
Yeah.
Worst backup in the NFL. And then we had the second worst backup in the NFL with Tyler Huntley.
Sometimes you just need a little time to sit and watch the game. He got thrown into the fire in a
Where
bad
was
situation.
he at last year?
I don't know. But sometimes I think it's good to sit and watch, man.
I want to say he was with the Rams. I think he was the backup for the Rams. If it wasn't the Rams, it's somewhere out west. Maybe it was San Francisco.
I'm looking right now.
No, it's all good. I can't remember where but I'll take it. He's going to get his shot.
Back up at Denver. He was a backup at Denver.
Somewhere out west.
Yeah. So that was a good coach to play under. Bo Nix was the man, but he's trying to go somewhere to get a second shot because he might have thought, well, Bo Nix is a bust or, just ain't no good. That would have been his opportunity. Well, of course, Bo Nix ended up being really good. So looks like he's looking to go. I don't know if they're trading him or if he just signed with them. I don't know the details of all that. But at the same time, I'm sure he's looking for opportunities and where he can go.
Back to Davante Adams real quick. I said last year when the Jets picked him up that it was not going to be the answer for the Jets. It was not going to save the season for the Jets. It was not going to turn Aaron Rodgers into this different quarterback, and it didn't. But now he signed with the Rams, and I have totally flipped my script. I love that pickup. I love Davante Adams to the Rams. I think it's going to be a great addition for them. You said Kupp got released today or cut today, but add Davante Adams with Puka and the rest of the young talent that they have on that offense with Stafford and McVay, I love it. I love
They
it.
got a really good team, dude. I think they're there. They just they need to stay healthy throughout the season so they can keep home field advantage in the playoffs. Their team's legit. Their defense is super young and super cheap. It's going to give them, they're going to be able to spend some money places. I like what they got going on. I hate that I had futures on them for a lot of money the last 2 years, and both years I think they had a shot and just missed. But I think both years those were really good bets. But
Davante's getting a little bit older, but I think he's got a solid 3 to 4 years left on a good team like that.
And he's the number 2. And I think that's what a guy like, he can have some leadership. Him and Puka, Stafford, that's awesome. So other little rumors, a lot of people were saying that Stephon Diggs might be going to Kansas City.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
I am not a Diggs fan, but I think that would be a decent pickup for them. He fits that system, I feel like.
I agree with
I've
that.
never really liked Diggs.
He's a cancer, but maybe he grew out of that. You can grow out of that.
I couldn't stand how when he played for the Vikings, man, every time he would catch the ball, as soon as somebody would get within 3 yards, he slid. Yeah. He was not getting hit. I've never seen a guy slide more than he did when he was with the Vikings. For some reason, that irked my nerves about him, and I just have never been a fan, but I do think that'd be a solid pickup for them.
He was just ahead of the game, Charlie. Now that's what they all do.
Yeah, and then you said possibly Cup, maybe a little interest from the Packers.
Yeah, I read that a couple
I
of
like
places.
that too. I think Green Bay would be a good spot for Cup. Or if Cup likes cold weather. Where'd he go to school at?
Cooper Cup.
Oh, I can't even remember where he went to school. He seems like a West Coast guy, though.
He definitely does. He's like a West Coast guy.
I really don't know. I have no clue I can't remember where he went to college at all. But hopefully, if he does go to Green Bay,
did he go to like Texas Tech or something? Am I wrong when I say
that's Wes Welker or something? I think. You thinking of Wes Welker?
Maybe I don't. We're gonna look him up.
But yeah, something about that move tells me that's a good spot for Cooper Kupp to possibly end his career.
Eastern Washington. You never would have guessed it if you didn't know it.
Dude, you could have gave me 150 guesses. I would have never guessed
I've
that.
read that before, but I do not remember. So that's big news. Also, Trey Hendrickson, Eagles star defensive lineman. They've gave teams permission to talk to him. He's wanting a really big deal.
I bet he is.
And deservingly so.
Damn sure.
I think the Bengals, they got to spend money different places. It's a business. So they're going to let him shop. And the Bengals did say that somebody wants him in a trade. They want a first round and a little, as well as something little else. So
he's worth that.
And a lot
one of the best defensive linemen in the defensive ends in the league.
And a lot of people are maybe thinking that the market might go down on that position a little bit and that they might be able to get a little bit of a cheaper trade for him. So a lot of teams, they say, are holding out on that. So I've read that a few places. So that sounds like legit news. And the only other news I got, Joey Bosa, 1 year, $12.6 million deal to the Bills. They're trying to get him another edge rusher going on up there. The Bills are trying to win now.
Did that just happen today?
I think so, yes.
Is he coming off a couple injuries too?
They're not paying him a fortune, though. I mean, 12.6 is decent money, but
something's up with San Fran.
I did read they're not wanting to pay Purdy a big deal. Look, I'm not in their office, and it is a business, and people got to realize that. I've never been a Purdy guy, but I do think he played for a lot of cheap years without holding their hand to the fire on redoing a deal. I would say they owe him, but that's not how the NFL works.
Bosa and Debo both gone within a week, not wanting to pay Purdy.
Well, they're trying to free up money. They had a lot of contracts coming up, so they're trying to make some moves and get their team right. What they had wasn't working. I really thought, if you would have told me 2 years ago, I thought maybe they were the best team. When I thought they really had a chance to win. I even stuck with them for a while this year. I had to get off the train at some point.
And I think we might have mentioned this a couple weeks ago, but over the last 3 to 4 years, arguably maybe, I know they did make it to the one Super Bowl. Didn't
they had a lot of
years?
They had a lot of injuries.
They've underachieved over the last few years, man.
2 years ago, I do think they were the best team. That's when they had their fourth-string quarterback in there, and they knew.
I feel like
that's when they played Philly like 2 years ago.
They were the best roster, I feel like, 2 or 3 years out of the last 5. They've had a top 3 roster in the league.
They have been very injury prone, though, and I'm not taken up for them. I'm just saying they have been.
Last year they were the most injured team by a lot. They have excuses for last year. But in the past, like 2 years ago,
they made it to the Final Four, and they were on their 4th-string quarterback. Philly, they knew that 49ers couldn't move the ball. Had some bad luck, man.
They have, but they've had a really good roster from top to bottom.
Stupid good.
I just feel like they've underachieved just a little bit over the last 4 years. Maybe it's time for Shanahan to go somewhere else. I don't know. I've always liked Shanahan. For about 3 or 4 years there, I was saying Shanahan was my favorite coach in the league. Maybe not right now, but I still like the guy. Maybe it's just time for a change there. I'm not saying he is the problem, but maybe change of scenery. I don't know.
Best coach in the NFL right now, real quick. Give me your best coach.
The best coach in the NFL, Andy Reid.
I like it, and I like Andy Reid a lot, and I hope I don't miss anybody because I'm just thinking about this really fast. I'm going to go Sean McVay.
Yeah, I'm on Andy Reid.
I get it. It's a good pick.
I like McVay, though. I like a lot of the young guys, like Shanahan, like McVay, like McDaniels for now, on and off.
Yeah,
probably
definitely on and off.
I'm probably cussed
like
4 times this year.
Sometimes I talk to Charlie. McDaniels is a mastermind. He's a genius. Sometimes I talk to him. It's like,
I'm done with his ass.
Why do you hate him so much?
I'm done with his ass.
For me, I'm super patient with coaches. Charlie's the opposite end of the spectrum on that. Don't have much patience for coaches.
No, I wouldn't say that, but I don't have patience for bad coaching.
You don't have patience for bullshit, huh? I
nope.
Gotcha.
Not when I've been a lifetime Dolphins fan, and I can't even remember the last time we won a playoff game. So no, I ain't got time for the bullshit.
Shula might come back.
Bring him back. He's dead.
Bring him back from his grave. Don't he have a kid or something?
And we try to bring him back alive. We killed off. Who did we kill off? We killed off Clark Kellogg when it was supposed to be Greg Gumbel.
That's horrible.
We killed off Clark Kellogg. Clark, we apologize. Clark Kellogg is still around, and he will be on TV the next couple weeks.
I'm horrible.
It was Greg Gumbel.
Greg Gumbel.
Whoops.
So, guys, that's the NFL news. We always try to keep up with what's going on. We're not going to touch nothing on college football, which I would love to. But the only other thing that I would like to touch on, one thing in the NBA, this is something everybody kind of been keeping up with. Since the Luka trade, the Lakers are 9-2. So we're going to be on Lakers Watch. The Lakers, like they're kind of a juggernaut of the NBA right now with LeBron and Luka. So, listen, I love Anthony Davis. I'm not even saying it was a bad trade like everybody else is, but right now it looks like it is because he got hurt as soon as he went there. So a lot of people think that they're going to try to get in the Cooper Cup deal and just think the rest of the year. Everybody wants Cooper Cup. That's the big thing for the weak teams in NFL.
Cooper Cup.
Not Cooper Cup. Help me out, Charlie.
Cooper Flag.
Cooper Flag. I told you I'm bad with names. You got to keep me on my toe. Yeah. Everybody's in the Cooper Flag lottery. But, unlike the NFL, it ain't the worst team. You just get more balls in there to get pulled. So
Cooper Flag's not overrated. I said Duke might be overrated, but Cooper Flag is not overrated. He's a real deal.
That would be pretty awesome if he went to Dallas. So it's him and Anthony Davis. So Kyrie's hurt for the year, so I think they're going to shut down out there. So the only other news I got, a little bit of Kentucky Derby news. Your Citizen Bull is the 7.5. There really ain't no big favorites. Your favorites is Citizen Bull. He's 7.5 to 1. So no horses have separated themselves. Journalism just won. I think that was the San Felipe 8 to 1. Sovereignty 10 to 1. All other 3-year-olds 12 to 1. Barnes got second to Journalism is 12 to 1. I actually am kind of on Barnes because I think
Barnes is a solid horse.
He is. He got beat by Journalism, and I had Journalism in that race, but I thought Barnes ran a good race. Co-Battle 15 to 1. Sandman. I think he's a tap it there. He's 15 to 1. Owen Almighty 22 to 1. And I actually like a long shot. East Avenue 40 to 1.
They're saying Owen Almighty, the jockey, wants to run that horse in the Pat Day Mile.
Okay. No, the jockey, they don't let the jockeys make decisions, do they?
No, the trainer.
Oh, okay. I thought, okay. The Pat Day Mile.
Yep.
He must not have the breeding to go long. But I'll bet you this. I say 9 times out of 10, if he wins his prep and wins it impressively, and he gets the Derby points, they'll try.
Well, they said that after he won that race.
Okay.
They said it afterwards. They said if it was up to the trainer, he would be running in the Pat Day Mile. But
You only got to go. Sometimes you only get
one.
one chance to go the Derby.
Yeah, you're
You
right.
get the Derby fever. Listen, I'm not saying. Sometimes I think they force horses to go to the Derby when
That's
they shouldn't.
exactly what the trainer was kind of saying. Was
Yeah.
that it was.
I'd go to the Derby.
Or maybe it wasn't the trainer that said that. It might have been whoever was writing the article that I was reading. But it was kind of a deal like that. Like sometimes these horses get forced, but from what I'm been reading, the trainer is wanting to point him towards the mile race. But the owner's gonna make the decision. And like you said, might be your only shot, and you probably won't ever get another one.
Everybody always laughs at old man Lucas. For those that don't know, D. Wayne Lucas is a legendary trainer. He's had all these top trainers that have worked under him. It's like a Belichick tree. All these guys have come after him. Pletcher. There's a million of them. I mean, he's the grandfather of trainers and just has produced a lot of younger trainers under him that have went on to be Hall of Famers herself. Well, as he's got older, some people says, he puts his horses way in over his head and runs them too much. And sometimes it seems like he does. Mm-hmm. But just when you start talking shit about him, every time he'll win like a big grade 1. Everybody said that Seize the Gray after he won the Pat Day Mile last year. Oh, he's stupid for putting him in the Preakness. He wins the Preakness, and I think he wins another big race after that. So you can't win them unless you're in them. That's kind of his theory. He says you can't win them unless you're in them. So, look, if I was a super wealthy guy like most of these people are, and my horse just won a prep and he had a chance to go to the Derby, you might get a horse like that one time. Them horses don't come by all the time, and I'm taking my chance. Would you?
Yeah, probably so. It'd be hard to turn away unless you're some huge owner that gets big time horses all the time.
Or if you're a guy that just isn't super wealthy yet. But if I'm really wealthy,
we going for the gusto.
That's right. Almost selling, let's cash out, because if it's up to me, I'm going for the Derby. If his breeding says he's a sprinter, maybe he carries that speed. It's happened before.
Yeah, we're going for the gusto for sure.
Guys, starting to get Derby fever. We're not that far out from the Derby. So we'll come back with some information, news. Really want to try to touch a little bit on the Derby this year. Introduce those that don't know a lot about horse racing. Introduce them in it. I want you to be familiar with some of these names, like Citizen Bull, Journalism Barnes. There'll be names that come up too, because there's some big prep races coming up. But hopefully by Derby time, even if you aren't a horse racing fan, maybe you'll have your Derby horse or two by Derby time, and maybe you will catch the Derby fever, like I've caught the sports card fever. I told my son, tell everybody how much of a ripoff sports cards are for the last 3 or 4 years. What am I doing? Buying packs for my son. Started off as a couple packs. Now I know when the shipments come in at Myers, Walmart, and Target. It's like a long lost addiction that's been dormant. I've been in control of it. I got a little taste of the liquor. Busted open a couple boxes. I was hooked.
I know. I've been there before. Last year, probably right around this time last year, I got in that same little groove where I was buying them just too much. Every other couple of days, I feel like I was going and getting another box, and it is addicting.
Oh, it's
addicting,
especially like sports. Not only that, if your kid likes it, 'cause I'm kind of into it. My kid, we're opening packs together. Shit, it's fun. It's fun. But at the same time, I'm just sitting here. When you start knowing when the trucks get at Myers and Target, and now I'm figuring out the game. The game's a lot different now. They got hobby boxes, retail boxes. They got these 1-packs that are like $600. It's stupid. Don't think I don't want one of those packs now. Yeah, I've been watching them, been trying to find out where they are. I'm not going to pull the trigger yet, but don't think that in the back of my mind I'm not going to buy one eventually. You get like 6 big cards with it.
That game has completely changed. Back in our day, it was just buy a pack for $2, $3, $5 maybe. Now it's a million different packs, a million different brands, a million different variations of cards, and the card 90% of the cards don't mean shit. You need a numbered card or an autograph card.
You got to either be stupid lucky or buy the expensive packs.
Yeah, that $600 pack that you're talking about, those boxes that are $500-$600, you're guaranteed 2-3 autographs or whatever in each box, but
Buying the ones that are retailers, you can get really big cards out of them, but it's ultra hard.
it is.
But I still enjoy the other cards too. I mean, it's to me, it's not just about the money. I like the rookies. I think pro football has an awesome rookie class. I really do. The basketball rookie class is not that good. It's not. The NBA rookie class this year, it's weak, Charlie. So I think that's why Shepard ended up going. Remember they talking about how weak of a rookie class it was going to be?
I'd just be looking for Reed Shepard and Rob Dillingham.
I'm with you. There's a guy that talked about him being the number one pick in the NBA draft, and he actually had like a torn ACL during the draft, so he dropped to like number 12. But Nikola Jokic is his name too, the same as Joker. I think that's his name. So so keep an eye on him when he comes back from that ACL.
He's got the same name?
The first name, I think it is.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh. I was going to say, damn, that's weird.
No, it is. So some people had him as high as number 1 or 2, but then he had a torn. When you have a torn ACL during the draft and you still go number 1, that's pretty impressive. There was also a first rounder that is still playing with Barcelona that's not played with his regular team yet. His name is Nunez, but got ball card fever. We did pull a Otani the other day, like a $200 card. It was a case hit.
There you go. Can't beat that. All right, I got a couple little things before we hit this basketball real quick. Tiger ruptures his Achilles. Tiger Woo hurt his knee. Not good. Probably not going to catch Jack Nicklaus now.
He's still got money.
Might be the end of Tiger. I don't know. He came back from that back. Ruptured Achilles at his age is trouble, man.
It wasn't a cool at time when he came back and won that tournament, though. I think the whole world was pulling for him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That was fun to watch. I remember I stopped. I'm not even a golf fan. I stopped what I was doing, pulled over, got my Hooters to watch the rest of the game. Rest of the match. That was really cool to watch him come back and win the Masters after all that.
Yeah,
it wasn't the Masters.
I think it was the Masters.
Was it? Okay.
And we're not too far out from the Masters now.
April 7th.
It's almost that time, Easter and Masters. So hate to hear that about Tiger. I was always a Tiger fan. I never watched golf until Tiger.
Is that your favorite golfer all time, I guess you would say?
I don't really have one, but yeah, I guess, man. Yeah, I guess.
For me,
Tiger, I guess. Never really had
Shooter
a favorite.
McGavin. I like Shooter.
Yeah, I love Shooter. Yeah, I'd say I guess Tiger's my favorite, but I never really had a favorite. But I did start watching some golf when Tiger was in his prime, and it was Sunday. I'd tune in.
I like daily. Cigarette smoking, beer drinking.
Actually, Greg Norman. Greg Norman.
Yeah.
The Shark.
That
was my favorite.
I'm daily. He said, I can beat them guys drunk, smoking cigarettes with a hangover. They said that guy was just ultra talented. If he would have ever just took life a little bit more serious.
Why?
Yeah, I'm with you. I get it.
Why? Why are you going to do that? Don't do that.
To be one of the greatest.
Yeah.
I think he's still one of the greatest.
He thinks he's the greatest. In his mind, he is. So it's all good. So, yeah,
Tiger,
his
his son's
sucks.
pretty good.
Only other thing I had, Alex Ovechkin is now 9 goals away from Gretzky's all-time goals record. And a cool little tidbit that I did read, I think the game last night, empty net at the end of the game. Ovechkin's got the puck, could easily put it in and be 8 goals away. Instead, he passes it to his teammate so his teammate could get his first hat trick of his career. Pretty cool stuff there.
Did they fight?
Huh?
Was there any fights?
I'm sure there probably was.
I watch hockey for the fights, Charlie.
You need to watch the playoffs. They don't fight.
I've watched hockey before. It is fun. You are correct in saying that. I've watched. It's very exciting. It's very intense. I'm surprised it's not more popular than what it is. So
yeah. So we'll be watching Ovechkin 9 away. He's got 17 games left in the regular season. But they are the 1 seed in the East, so they will be playing into the playoffs. I think he gets it done this year. 9 goals, 17 games left.
It seems like it's a very attainable record this year for him.
Yep. So, OV, we will be watching. All right, on to the basketball. Sitting here watching, 9 minutes left in the last SEC game of the night, Oklahoma and Georgia. 59-57. Georgia's got a 2-point lead. Close game. Oklahoma is definitely on the bubble. I'm not sure about Georgia, but I feel like they're in, but they might be close to the bubble too. But Oklahoma's absolutely on the bubble here, so almost a must-win game here for Oklahoma, and Kentucky plays the winner of this game tomorrow night at 9:30. Little interest in this game because we will be facing the winner. Who you like in this game? I had Georgia picked before the game. I actually bet Georgia tonight, so
I'll pick Georgia then because I'll be pulling for you. To me, it's this game go either way. I think we'll take care of them. It's not a game we can just show up and take care of. Don't get me wrong when I say that, but we need to be able to beat both these teams, and I think we will tomorrow night. So that'll be Kentucky's first game of the tournament. For those that haven't been paying attention to college basketball this year, if you lived under a rock, winning the SEC tournament might be just as big as winning the NCAA tournament. It is loaded. To make your way through that, good luck. Good luck. We all know how strong the SEC is this year. I feel like we didn't get a bad little setup, Kentucky. We were put there at the bottom. We get our first round bye, play the winner of Oklahoma and Georgia. Whoever wins that, I think Kentucky will come out. And then if Kentucky does win that tomorrow night, they'll play Alabama. Not to get ahead of ourselves, but what do you think about that possible Kentucky-Alabama matchup? Alabama will be there. They're getting a first two-round bye.
Alabama's tough. They're tough to keep up with, man. They score so many damn points.
Yeah,
That's really the main thing that I worry about with all three of these big-time SEC teams, Alabama, Auburn, and Florida. Can you keep up with these teams?
Is it the worst thing if we lose there, though? That'll give us a few extra days of rest. I mean, I would love to win. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to win. I will be cheering my ass off to win. But the question is, do you want to go deep in? Of course you want to. It's kind of a hard question. But there's benefits to both, right? Ohio State had that rest this year in football, and it really benefited them over Oregon and Penn State in the Big Ten championship.
I think there's only really one scenario where you're looking to maybe lose. No, I don't want to.
I don't think you're ever wanting to lose, but
I'm not saying
there's
like, I
here
think
it
it's
is.
only one, really, a couple teams each year that you could say that about, and it's those top teams like a Auburn. Okay, Auburn's playing so good; they've been so hot all year. For a team like that, I do think there's a little bit of a benefit to maybe dropping a game before you get to that tournament.
They lost their last two of the
think
season.
most teams in the country just need the momentum. Mm-hmm. You're looking to win. You're looking to keep it rolling. But I do think there's a select few this year, maybe just Auburn and maybe Duke.
Yeah.
Possibly a Florida because Florida's on a crazy roll too. So maybe Auburn, Florida, Duke. I would say that about. But there's not a lot of other teams that I would say, oh, we need this rest or we need that or win the games. It's March. Let's win.
I'm with you.
I don't think Kentucky's in any position to want that. I think we need to want to win every game. If we end up losing one of them and get an extra day or two of rest, cool. That's cool because we're in the tournament this year no matter what. But those situations kind of come down to those top teams that have only lost 2 or 3 games all year, just on big-time rolls. Maybe you're on a 10, 15-game winning streak. Those are the situations where I think, maybe you could a loss is not going to hurt you too much. But for Kentucky, no.
Don't give Louisville fans no excuse.
We'll get to Louisville and the ACC here in just a little bit.
Yeah, it's that's the B team there.
Yeah.
So Kentucky's coming out. I do think that's a tough matchup for Kentucky. I like that they're staying away from Auburn at the top until the end. I do not like that matchup for Kentucky. But guess what? It's basketball. Anybody can beat anybody.
But we got away from Auburn, but they threw us down there with Bama and Florida.
Yep.
I'd almost rather been up there with Tennessee because we know we can beat them, but then you
have to beat them 3 times. Yeah, that's tough in its own sense.
We match up good with Tennessee.
Basketball,
they can't score enough.
Basketball is kind of like, I mean, I know football is too, but basketball is really about matchups.
We match up well with Tennessee.
But
that puts you up there with Auburn, and we don't match up well with Auburn.
So up here at the top, Mississippi State's going to come out to play Missouri. That game could go either way, but whoever wins that game, Charlie's going to have to come out and play Florida. Do you think either one of those teams will beat Florida?
So real quick, I'll get back to that. But this Georgia game is the last game of the day. We've already had 3 SEC games. Arkansas barely beat South Carolina after being up 20 points. South Carolina came all the way back, cut it to 1 within a couple minutes left of the game. Arkansas squeaks it out. So they're going to go on to play Ole Miss, Mississippi State. Who'd they beat today, Anthony?
They beat LSU.
Mississippi State rolls LSU. And they are going to play Missouri next. And then Texas actually got a really big win.
There was a big one.
Against Vanderbilt. I don't know if it gets Texas in, but they're getting close. And if they beat Texas A&M, I think it almost definitely gets them in. But what was the question? Can Mississippi State beat Missouri? Is that what your question was?
No, I'm just saying that to me, that's a pretty good matchup.
That is a good matchup.
Yeah, very kind of, to me, kind of equal
I think it's a toss-up.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to
take Mississippi State.
I'm going to take Missouri. I go on the opposite end of you. But I do think it's a very, a 50-50 type matchup. So yeah,
it is. That's going to be a good game.
Here's the real question. Can either one of those teams beat the red-hot Florida Gators?
No.
I got
100%.
I kind of agree.
Actually, not 100. They maybe
both
a 5%.
of those teams are solid teams. I'd say more than 5.
Florida's on
20.
a roll.
I agree, but I give them a 20% chance, 30% chance, which ain't a lot.
20%. That's probably about right.
Yeah. So it looks like that holds up, and the winner of the Kentucky-Alabama game will be playing Florida.
Well, let's just roll through this real quick while we're just talking about it. Let's do it.
All right. Well,
Arkansas against Ole Miss tomorrow. Who you got?
Arkansas.
You got Arkansas rolling with them?
Rolling with my dude, dog. Yep.
Your dude that went. Did you see his little interview the other day?
Yep.
The SEC tournament don't even matter.
Call you Charlie Jones. Call you Charlie Jones.
You about to play on freaking Wednesday of the SEC tournament, and you're sitting here talking about how the damn tournament don't matter. And he's cramping up again, rubbing one out. That's what you get for bringing up Calipari. Oh, shit. Anthony's making it a habit of rubbing one out here in my basement. Katie, you're going to have to give this guy some action before he comes over here. He keeps wanting to take it.
That's what I do the most.
To what he gets for talking about his boy Calipari. That barely is going to make the tournament. That almost blew a 20-point lead today to South Carolina to really blow the season. Dude's got the balls to come out 2 days ago and sit there and say SEC tournament doesn't matter. The NCAA tournament's the only one that matters. Yeah, dude. You're on the bubble. You're on the bubble. You might not even be in that tournament.
You don't talk shit while I'm cramping.
Oh, my goodness. You need a banana?
You got one. Sorry.
I think so. Oh, man.
I'm trying,
Motherfucker cramping up. All right, you back? You back on top?
Let's roll. He's going to talk crap while I was over there getting my, trying to rub out my cramp there.
Oh, that's karma, motherfucker. Yeah. As soon as you start talking about him, you get a cramp.
Yeah,
that's what your ass gets.
I guess.
All right, so Anthony's taking Arkansas over Ole Miss. He's probably taking Arkansas to win the whole thing.
I might. I won't have him beating Kentucky, but I haven't beaten everybody else because guess what? They're my second favorite team in the SEC.
All right, so Anthony has Arkansas. I got Ole Miss in that one.
They're hot. They're 8-4 over their last.
They are. I will give them credit. They have. I'm not going to say they've turned it around, but they have.
They've turned it around.
They
were
have
1-6.
Started playing a little bit better. But, man, I'm serious, dude. They were up 20 today and
they had
looking to run away with that game. And next thing you know.
They had to be up 20-0.
Yeah, but giving that away. All right, next one, Texas and Texas A&M.
A&M. I'm a big A&M guy.
Yeah, I got A&M too.
I think A&M's got an outside shot to make a Final Four run.
Mississippi State, Missouri. I already said I'm taking Mississippi State.
I'm going to go Missouri.
You are taking Mizzou. All right. Before we pick the Kentucky game, we got a tie game here. So who you got? I'm going Georgia. You
got-
said
you got
Georgia too?
bet, right?
Yeah.
I'm pulling for you. I don't got nobody.
Yeah, Georgia. I'd almost, for Kentucky's sake, I'd probably rather play Oklahoma, but look, there it is right there. Last four in: Oklahoma, Indiana, Xavier, and North Carolina. First four out: Texas, Ohio State, Boise State, Colorado State. So Texas still listed right now as the first four out, but they did get the win today against Texas. Or today against Vandy. So that game tomorrow against Texas A&M is huge for Texas. Huge game. All right, so we both got Georgia advancing. Kentucky and Georgia, you know what it is.
Yeah.
We both got Kentucky
I like
winning,
Kentucky.
right?
I actually like them very well.
We're going to get our first conference tournament win since 2022. Let's go. Tired of going home on Thursday. All right, Arkansas against Auburn. Who you got? Yeah, right.
I'm going Auburn. I tell you what, I pick them against a lot of the teams,
Yeah,
though, but I
right.
think it's starting to get to the very tough point.
A&M and Tennessee.
A&M.
I got A&M too. I got A&M with the upset. Well, they're the 5. It is 4 and 5, but I got A&M too. For some reason, I'm not buying Tennessee right now. I'm just not.
You've not really been crazy about them all year, have you, Charlie?
I mean, they're a good team.
No, they are a good.
They're a
team.
good team, but maybe it's just the way that we matched up and played well against them.
Yeah, I get that.
But they can't score enough. And some of these teams, I don't know what it is about scoring. I guess everybody just scores so many points these days that I feel like the teams that, like Houston, I've been saying for 3 weeks, I like Houston. But I'll tell you, they worry me because they score in like 60s and 70s. And you match up against Auburn, Alabama, Florida, 65 to 70 points ain't going to win that game. So good luck.
I did hear, I think it was Jay Williams talking about this, and I think it's a decent point. Everybody talks about how the SEC officials let them play in the SEC compared to the other leagues. It's a more physical league, and they don't call nowhere near as many fouls, and they play a lot more physical. Jay Williams, I thought, brought up a good point. I'm sure he's an SEC hater, but I did think it was a decent point that, you know, when they get in these tournaments, there's going to be officials from all over. With how they're used to playing all year, the officials letting them playing a more physical brand of basketball. Does that hurt some of the SEC teams? I mean, maybe getting in foul trouble. I think it could help Kentucky because that's kind of what people have said about us, that, you know, we're not very tough, we're not very physical compared to some of these SEC schools. So maybe it helps a team like us a little bit comparatively to some of the teams that are allowed to play so physical during SEC play.
It'll depend on how they tell the refs to officiate the game, because I feel like in the postseason they let a little bit more go.
Okay.
I don't feel like they're as touchy with the calls, but you are right. With the NCAA tournament, it's refs from every conference, or I don't know how they do it, but I'm sure it's refs, the best refs from the year. I'm sure that's how they do it, right?
Do you agree?
It's got to be the best refs. They get graded, I'm sure, after every game or every week. So I guarantee you that's how they do it. It's how they do it with NFL refs and all that. The ones that get to call the playoff games and stuff are your best refs of the year. Probably be a little rotation of the best referees from each conference. So I guess it's maybe a case by case, but don't you think that they kind of have an officials meeting before the tournament and kind of head of officials maybe?
But I think you're going to kind of call it the way you've kind of called them all year. But do you agree with what Jay Williams says, that they let them play a little bit more in the SEC compared to the other leagues?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Because they're physical as shit. You can't call every single foul.
Sure. So they take that. That was Patino's philosophy. I'm going to press you. I'm going to reach. I'm going to steal. You can only call so many. You know.
Well, I'll say this. I mainly watch SEC basketball. I watch other stuff too, but I do not feel like the SEC's got great referees. I'm not going to sit here and get into it, talk about the refs. I don't know the detail and all. I just feel like the SEC refs are not great. Maybe they are, but I don't know.
Charlie, we don't like no refs. Have you ever noticed that about?
I don't have no problem with refs, and I'm not one to sit there and bitch about refs. I just think overall it just seems like the they're not great in the SEC. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe the SEC's got the best refs. I don't know. But it surely does not seem like it sometimes.
No, I'm with you. But I thought it was a decent point. I'm not saying I like it or don't like it. I just thought it was something to talk about.
Yeah. SEC's a lot more physical than pretty much every other conference. So we'll see how that plays out. It's a good point. All right, so the next matchup with Florida, you don't see. You had Missouri. You ain't got Missouri beating Florida, do you?
No, I don't.
And I had Mississippi State. I don't have them. I think Florida rolls.
I think both those teams could give them a game, but at the end of the day, if I'm picking, I'm taking the Gators.
I told Anthony before the show, and I'll say it. I'm starting to think Florida might be the best team in the country. I know that's tough because Auburn looks so good. But, man, something's telling me that Florida might be the one. I think they roll whoever it is, Mississippi State or Missouri. I think they roll them by double digits. Kentucky, Alabama. Who you got? I'll go ahead and say it.
I'll go Kentucky. I do not like the matchup for Kentucky.
Yep, I don't either.
But I'm taking Kentucky.
I hate to say it, but I'm gonna say the run ends after getting a win in the SEC tournament, which we haven't had in a while, getting to Friday. It's a late Friday night game. So our Kentucky fans that have taken over Nashville already will be there all day tomorrow, and they'll get all day on Friday. But I do think it ends. I think Alabama takes us out. I just, like you said, I don't think that we match up great against Alabama, and they're just so hard to keep up with. I think, and I don't know these numbers, I'm just kind of top of my head right here, but man, it seems like in the last 8 to 12 games, Alabama is scoring 90 points every game.
Alabama's good.
So if you can't keep up, if you can't get at least to the high 70s, close to the 80s, you ain't got a shot against Alabama. So I don't like the matchup. I hope we destroy them. I hate that I'm picking Alabama here, but I'm just, I'm trying not to be a homer, because if I was, I'd just take Kentucky all the way.
Probably that's my game plan.
Yeah, but I do think it ends there at Alabama. I sure hope it doesn't, but I'm going to take Alabama. Auburn and A&M, I think the Auburn run continues. I take Auburn over A&M.
I'm going to take A&M over Auburn for the second win against Auburn, but I will say that I think from there Auburn will go on to win the national title. I like kind of A&M. I like Alabama.
Spoiler alert.
I like Kentucky, and I do like Auburn, but I think A&M is a really good team. They just got done beating them, and I think they're going to beat them again. So Texas A&M, I like A&M a lot. I like how they get on the boards.
All right, so you got Florida and Kentucky. Who you got?
Cats.
All right, so I'm sitting on Florida and Alabama, and I'm taking Florida. Anthony's got the Cats. I got Florida. So that would give you an A&M Kentucky final.
Yep. I kind of like A&M in the game. I have a feeling about A&M, but I'm going with my Cats.
All right. I like
it. When you were a kid, and
when
I was a kid and I'd get an NCAA bracket, I would just go ahead and take Kentucky. And
every time.
Just take them all the way out. Get that out. Let's get this over with.
Every single time. I always had to fill out at least 2 brackets, because I was taking Kentucky all the way every single time, and at least one of them it didn't.
I was
matter.
All in. I was taking them on all my brackets. Maybe I had I had one backup brackets. Hey, if things are good, they're good.
Yeah, but it's like taking that one team in all your parlays.
I watched my nephew.
It don't work out very well.
I watched my nephew win it was like a $10 bracket. A factory man worked at GE. I seen him win a $10 bracket. And I think it paid like $3,000. So they had a decent number of people in it with taking Butler to the national title game when Butler wasn't no good. I don't even know how he picked it, how he liked it. And it wasn't like he just picked all long shots, but he had Butler. That was the greatest pick ever for them to go to the national title. He was all over it.
That was when your boy almost made the half-court shot to win the national championship.
Gordon
Hayward,
he's a baller.
He almost hit a half-court shot. That would have been the greatest shot in the history. I remember when he missed that shot. I literally was just telling people, that would have been bigger than the Leitner shot. Half-court shot to win the national championship would have been the greatest shot in the
Yeah, I don't
history
know
of
if it would
college
have.
basketball.
Leitner was
to beat Duke,
Yeah, but Leitner
Butler.
Leitner was the poster boy of college basketball.
Yeah,
I'm with you. I'm with you. It'd be a huge.
that was
It would be
more
in the
of-
little clip with it. It would definitely. It would be that.
That was more of the game being such a good game, and Leitner playing the perfect game and not missing a shot.
Plus, he was Mr. College Basketball that year, and for a couple years.
But man, a half-court shot to win the national championship, I don't think it gets any better than that.
No, I agree.
The Villanova won a handful of years back, 4 or 5 years ago, when that kid hit a buzzer beater 3 to win the national championship. That was fucking awesome too. But a half-court shot,
I don't think
man.
I just think it was Kentucky, Duke. It was Leitner. I don't think
It would have passed it for me, Anthony.
Yeah, it would.
Beating Duke on a buzzer beater in the national championship.
No, don't get me
It'd have
wrong.
been my favorite.
Yeah,
It'd have
I
been
get
my
it.
favorite. I promise
get
you
it.
that.
I get. So shots I remember, Charlie. Remember who was the little guy from like Valpo? Was that Drew? Did they passed it all the way down? They tipped it over to him.
That was probably 96, 97. It was early high school. I remember watching that game. That was a good one. It was like a touch pass, 2 seconds left, 3 seconds left, maybe full court pass. Caught it. It wasn't really a touch pass. He caught it and gave him a nice pass. And yeah, he drilled that one. I'll never forget that one.
That was awesome. The biggest heartache for me, because I think I told my friend that night, he was a big Carolina fan. I said, I think the winner of this team's going to win it. I thought they had the two best teams, but I think they met in the Elite Eight. It was Kentucky, North Carolina.
I was at
Fox
that game.
and Monk. That team was really coming together. That team was so good. They were really starting to play great basketball. Fox was in foul trouble the whole first half. He hardly didn't play the first half. They called some bullshit fouls on him. They were bad.
We were down 7 points with under a minute left in that game. And Fox hits a 3 to tie it up.
It was Monk.
Monk hits a crazy 3 with somebody right in his face, fading away.
Did that tie it or did that put us ahead?
That tied the game.
Okay.
That tied the game. But we were down 7 with like 49 seconds left in that game. And then came back. Monk hits the 3, crazy 3 to tie it up. I want to say there was like 6 seconds left, just a little bit too much time. And who is it?
Drake May.
Not
no,
Drake.
May.
It was May.
I will
though.
kill a name every time.
Sean
May.
It wasn't Sean.
Luke.
It wasn't none of them.
It's Luke. I'm looking at it, damn it.
Luke May?
It's Luke. I'm looking at it.
He said Sean May. Sean May played for Carolina. He was the big
Drake May's the
chubby.
quarterback for the Patriots. He played for Carolina too. They're the king of the Mays.
So what was his name? His
Luke
first name?
May.
Luke May.
Luke
I can
May.
picture him right now, big Opie white guy.
Yeah. Dude, I knew it was going in too.
I did too.
I knew it was
behind
going in.
I was at the game where he took that shot. I was right behind him looking right at the basket. I mean, I was looking I seen it going in. That was a heartbreaker, man. That was one of the most up and down games. In that last minute, down 7, it was almost like heartbreak, man. And then, boom, next thing you know, we're right back in it. Monk hits that crazy 3. You want to talk about it, a roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah,
That's what that day was.
Some of the best moments for me when Harrison hit the 3 threes in a row.
I was at those too, Anthony. I was at 2 of them. I was at the Louisville game, I was at the Michigan game.
I was at the Louisville game, and I think when Michigan game too.
Michigan was 2 days later,
Yep.
and then
same spot all 3 times. Same spot.
And then the other one was the next weekend in the Final Four against Wisconsin.
Yeah.
The first one was in Sweet 16 against Louisville. The second one was against Michigan. Same spot. And you're right. The Wisconsin one was pretty damn close to the same spot.
Get on him. Somebody better get on him out there. He got a little deeper.
Most clutch player in Kentucky history.
And I'll add one to it. I always say Darius Miller too, but I think he was appreciated a little bit more. the Twins might be the most underappreciated Kentucky Wildcats all the time.
Not by me.
They were good
Not
college
by me.
players. They were
I
good.
love both of them.
And you got
still
two
to
for
this
one.
day.
You get 2 for 1.
Loved both of them.
You know, a lot of people blame Cal for
Negative. Go ahead. Negative.
with Ulyss and Booker.
Negative.
Maybe it was right or wrong.
I was at that game too.
Dude, they were.
Booker couldn't guard nobody.
I'm gonna tell you this about the Twins. They were some of the best rebounding guards out there. They
could both defend.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you what else you couldn't do.
6'6".
That you could not press them. That people used to use a lot of presses back then. You could not press them. You just couldn't. It's like they would take their time up. I guess because they're brothers, they've worked. One's a shooting guard, one's a point guard, but they
were big guards, 6'6".
They would just kind of take their time coming up the court.
I'll argue with any Kentucky fan that wants to say that Booker and Ulyss should have played more in that Wisconsin game. Bullshit.
There's a difference between being a good NBA player and being a superstar college player. The Twins were really good college players. They carried themselves well here. It was a 2-for-1 deal. You don't get a lot of times. You get twins, but most of the time they're not both really good like that. We got 2 really good players. They both were 5 stars coming out of high school. They seemed like they came from a good family. Their parents seemed like good people. I was a big fan of the Twins. I was a big Darius Miller fan too. But yeah, them were some of the heartbreaks. Probably the one, everybody knows the Derek Anderson thing in 97. We win at 96. Rick's going for back-to-back. We're in the championship game. Thunder and Lightning, Mercer and Anderson. Anderson had got hurt during the season. He was checked out, healthy. Doctor said he was ready to go for actually the championship game. He'd missed the regular season, but that was Thunder and Lightning. That was the big combo in college basketball. We were playing
Arizona.
Hot Arizona team with Bibby and Simon, 2 really good guards. Anderson definitely could have helped us. He was a really good defensive guard. He was good. He ended up being a lottery pick. Patino didn't play him, said he'd feel bad about it if something happened. I respect him for that. But at the same time, that's one a lot of people know about. But the one that I forget which one it was, but we had got hot. Maybe it was the Randall's years, and Willie had got hurt in a game, and we actually played UConn in the championship game. That's when they had Kemba Walker, I think it was, and they were killing us on the pick and roll. Connecticut had got hot, and I hated that Willie wasn't there because actually a player that they was eating up was a guy I liked. Who was the big boy for Kentucky? He wasn't crazy fast. Was that Estel?
No, you're talking about.
They were killing him on the pick and roll. He was a good player.
I know who you're talking about. But that was the year that Aaron Harrison hit all those shots.
Yeah, and
we beat Wisconsin in the Final Four.
Liggins was the defensive stopper on that team. UConn was killing us on the pick and roll. Well, Willie, for those that don't know, in the NBA, Willie, his claim to fame in the NBA is he can guard all 5 positions. He's a freak athlete. They would have not ate Willie up on the pick and roll. I promise you that. Willie's built to defend the pick and roll. And they were eating us up on the pick and roll. All night they were getting us. And that was the year when Connecticut, they hadn't had that good a year, but remember they got hot and won it all?
Yep.
Yeah.
They beat us twice.
That was really a heck of a run by them.
They beat us in 14, and they beat us in Kemba Walker beat us, and then Shabazz Napier beat us.
Yeah,
UConn's got our number in the tournament. Man.
Yeah, but that's some of my memories from March Madness. I remember filling out the brackets, Charlie. March Madness was a special time around my house, and you remember getting the brackets and throwing up your $5, $10 and trying to get in a jackpot. And
still do it.
My uncle, he used to get in one at a bar. It was like 100 or 200. I always thought that was the coolest thing. But
the ones I remember mainly from.
Remember the printout? Remember the printouts? You get the copy of the printouts because you didn't have it on computers.
Yeah, you had to print it.
Yeah, I had to see it.
Print it out.
Yeah,
you had to print it out. You had to give it to somebody, and then say, "Fill this out, make a copy, and bring me the copy so I can keep the score."
Yeah,
I had to go through. I used to run it, so I'd have 20 papers,
and you had to trust the person that was in charge.
And take this. Well, copy your thing.
I know, but you had to trust everybody else's too. You know? It's a lot of trust going on there. Now they have the computer system way better.
Yeah, but the ones I remember, Christian Laettner, of course, that we were young, but that was the first memory big March Madness memory that I have. Then it goes on, 96, maybe the best team in Kentucky history. 96, 97, 98 kind of go together.
Different teams,
could have
though.
been a three-peat.
Different teams, but yeah. I always thought Tubby.
Just an era for me, though.
No,
That was high school. That was my freshman, sophomore, it was 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade. Dude. I mean, it could not have got any better.
97 into 97 seasons with Benedict.
But 98, the comeback Cats came back and beat Duke, got a little bit of our revenge that 98 year from the Leitner shot, which was – at that point, it was only 6 years before. So now it feels like forever, but it was only 6 years after that. So it was a little bit of a revenge when we got them on that comeback. They had a good team there, too. That's when they had Trajan Langdon and
McGlure put
Wojo in the Williams?
Yeah, McGlure put Wojo in the backbreaker.
Actually, Jason Williams might have been another year or two after that.
They had Wojo because I remember McGlure put him in the backbreaker.
Yeah. So that was a good – the comeback Cats were fun.
You remember the backbreaker by McGlure?
I know what you're talking about.
He stretched him out, dude. They had him on video. He kind of got in there by accident, but when he had him in there, he kind of let him have it a little bit. But that team by Tubby, that wasn't the most talented team, man. I always said Tubby could coach. His biggest fault, he wasn't a great recruiter, but Tubby could coach. X's and O's, getting his guys motivated. He could coach. He's at High Point now, right, Charlie?
Yep, and they're in the tournament.
High Point.
That Bryce Drew one always sticks with me. I don't know what it is about that one. Tyus Edney going coast to coast with the little runner with like 1 second left to win.
Timeout.
That was in like 93 or 94 or something. Oh, yeah, you can't ever forget that.
Oh, Chris Webber.
Chris Webber calling the
Fab
timeout.
Five for the Fab Five.
Yeah, that was some good stuff there. So maybe we'll try to think about some more moments, and next week we'll maybe touch on, I don't know.
Good stuff. I like it. Valpo for me was one of the first upsets, true underdogs. I remember watching March Madness, and you had of course the Leitner shot. It always comes up, but big one always comes up. It was before us a little bit, but 5 Slamma Jamma with Jimmy Valvano running around there when NC State beat Houston.
Yeah.
Clyde Drexler and Akeem and them. I think Houston was strong. So, good stuff.
All right, so Anthony has Kentucky winning the SEC. My final was Auburn and Florida, and I am going to say that Auburn, I'm going to kind of flip what you said. I think Auburn wins the SEC tournament. And spoiler alert for next week, I think they should have took a loss. Because I don't think they're going to get it done in the NCAA tournament. I think Auburn continues the run here, wins the SEC, which is a hell of an accomplishment this year. But I think their luck's going to run out. And we might look back at the beginning of this episode when we were talking about should a team take a loss before the tournament, and we might look back and say Auburn should have took a loss before the tournament. Because I think Florida might be the one that comes off of this loss right here in the SEC championship and then runs off 6 in a row. I don't know if that's going to be officially my pick yet, but about 3 or 4 days before Selection Sunday, if I had to make a bet, I'd probably take Florida right now. So I'm saying Auburn wins the SEC, and then they kind of run out of steam at some point in the big tournament. So
I got a cool question for you. So you got a bracket. If a team like Missouri, a team like Kentucky were to win, let's say Missouri or Mississippi State, because they always have a tough round game when they play each other. But if they were to win, is winning the SEC for them a tougher route than maybe winning the NCAA tournament? So just let's look, for example, say Mississippi State was to somehow win the SEC tournament. They would have to beat Missouri, probably Florida, Alabama, and then Auburn. Is that tougher than winning the NCAA tournament?
yes.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
you're right.
You're talking about the number 1 team in the country, the number 2 team in the country,
I think.
And Alabama, who is, what are they ranked?
Yeah, I bet you they
Sixth,
get. I bet
fifth,
you.
seventh?
I will argue whoever wins it. I'm gonna make this argument right here. I don't know if it's gonna hold true. I'm gonna say whoever wins the NCAA tournament will look back at the SEC winner. Now, if it ain't one of the teams that got the 2-round bye, and if it isn't one of those teams, I will say they had a tougher route than what the NCAA winner is going to have. And I could be wrong, but let's keep an eye on that when it's over.
Nobody in the NCAA tournament, nobody is going to have to play Auburn, Alabama, and Florida.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think it's possible to have a harder road than what Missouri would have.
How many games you got to win that?
6.
6. If you're a high seed, your first 2 games probably aren't going to be much. I mean, they're not going to be nothing comparable to this. So it would have to be your final 4 games. And I just don't see your final 4 games matching up to that. You'll have an easy game. You'll have an easier game in there somewhere.
Yeah, I don't see anybody in the NCAA tournament looking at their bracket and seeing anything comparable to the number 1 team in the country, the number 2 team in the country, and let's just call Alabama 7. I don't know what they are. But nobody's going to have the 1, 2, and 7 in the country.
I agree.
In front of them for the national championship. I just don't think it can't line up like that because Auburn and Alabama is going to be in separate brackets. So nobody's ever going to have to face Auburn and Florida.
Charlie, I'll say this. This probably won't be remembered by the rest of the country because I remember this, that same thing when Kentucky went 35-1 or whatever it was, didn't win it, went to the Final Four. To me, as a sports fan, I would argue that was more of an accomplishment than a national title. To go 35-1 with a legit schedule, that's amazing. But whoever wins the SEC this year, 10, 15 years from now, people might not remember. But I've never seen a league this tough. I haven't. And so for those that do win it, they'll always know. The rest of the world might forget, but they will always know that winning the SEC tournament this year was really something special.
Does Carl Ravitch not look drunk as shit?
Oh, yeah, he does.
Huh?
Yes, he does.
My man is hammered.
Yeah, he is. He nodded out.
Did you see that?
He was nodded out.
It's a long day in Nashville.
He's tired.
Ravitch.
Hey, Ravitch, I get it. I'm tired too. It's been a long day for me.
That's probably what it is. But damn, didn't he look drunk?
Past his bedtime.
Dude, he looked drunk right there.
He's
If that's
tired.
just him
He's
being tired, my man.
Look, you're watching Oklahoma, Georgia at 12 o'clock at night. You don't think he don't want to go to his hotel room?
No, he wants to go out there on Broadway.
No, he's going to bed. He's going to bed.
Yeah, he looked like he was already halfway in bed.
He stayed up late last night.
He looked ripped. Oklahoma has stretched it out here 76-71 with 30 seconds left, and they got the ball. So it looks like Oklahoma is about to get it done.
Punch their ticket, right?
Wonder what that does to Georgia, man. I want to say Georgia's in, but look, they're 20-11. They could be on the bubble.
Go Dogs.
I don't think they are, but who knows? I think Oklahoma might punch their spot right here.
Hit some free throws, seal it up.
They are on the bubble. They're one of the bubble teams for sure. All right, so real quick, had a couple finals today. There's already 13 teams that have punched their ticket. All the small Lipscomb, UNC Wilmington, Robert Morris.
They're always in the tournament.
Robert Morris. Them bastards are the ones that beat us in the NIT game that one year. 2000, I don't know.
Was that with Billy?
Actually, yeah, you're right. That was with Billy. That was with Billy.
I love Billy. Yep. He was tough.
Robert Morris. Matter of fact, that might have been the game where Perry Stevenson just smashed on that dude, dunked like
Perry
over
Stevenson.
top of him.
That's a blast.
But it was in an NIT game that we lost to Robert Morris. But I'm pretty sure if you go back, that's one of the best dunks probably in Kentucky history.
Perry Stevenson.
I couldn't stand that dude either.
Did you not like Perry?
No,
I like
Perry.
I like Perry.
He was a gamer, but it was something about him.
He didn't like a ball player, but he could play a little bit.
You know what I probably shouldn't. I just didn't think he was good enough to play at Kentucky.
Yeah.
And I guess it was because it was in that little Billy window where he was.
You know, he wasn't a bad recruit, though, because I kept up with recruiting then a whole lot. He was like a high 4-star. He wasn't like some mega 5-star, but he was a higher 4-star, if I remember correctly.
And don't get me wrong, he played pretty decent for us half the time. It was just something about him. I always thought, this guy is not good enough to play for the University of Kentucky.
That was so Tubby had that group, probably one of my favorite groups where they don't get talked about. The Daniels, Fitch, Hayes. I love those teams.
Dude, they had a great team.
And they got put out early in a couple where they were like the number 1 overall seed. They were really good. UAB and I think Marquette
in the second round.
Yeah.
UAB, I'll never forget that one either.
It's
that was a heartbreaker.
That team was good, Charlie. They were really good. I
think we were the number 1 overall seed.
We
that
were.
Year.
Daniels was tough. Fitch, Hayes, but
Gerald Fitch,
great
in my top 5 favorite Kentucky.
I don't have no
players.
I don't have no
of
problem
all
with
time.
that. Don't have no problem with it.
What percentage of Kentucky fans do you think would put Gerald Fitch in their top 5?
No, 1.
Exactly. I'm that one.
Yeah,
I love that dude.
My number 1.
They said he was an asshole too,
But
but I loved him, dude. He would talk about a gamer. Gerald Fitch was a gamer.
My favorite cat of all time is
Jamal Mashburn. Nobody.
Is
gets
that yours?
Yeah, he's my favorite. That's my favorite athlete.
Mine's
My favorite athlete of all time. I know that's crazy. Jamal Mashburn.
He was good. If he didn't get injured like he did in the NBA, he was making all-star teams and stuff, dude. He was good.
Nobody. I guess it was just that time. You know, I was like 12.
You were becoming a fan.
Yeah, I was 12 years old. He was the best thing.
He was great, dude.
Since sliced bread. And for some reason, every player that come through Kentucky ever since then just is, I don't know. They'll never, nobody will ever compare to Mashburn to me. I don't know.
The monster Mash.
We've had Anthony Davis and John Wall and
he was good.
So many great players come through here. I think it's because when you're 10 to 13 years old, I feel like that's like the time, especially if you're a
He was
sports
great,
fan.
Charlie. He was making all-star teams in the NBA.
I know how good he was.
Chris Webber's the only one that got drafted over him, and Chris Webber was great as hell.
Grant Hill.
Yeah, Grant Hill and Chris Webber, right?
Yep.
Yeah, both of them. And
They
Grant
were
Hill,
the same
you know,
year,
I
'cause
heard
they got compared a lot.
You know,
early.
I hear I've heard people, NBA people say people don't know how great Grant Hill was if he didn't fight his injuries.
Yeah,
he was
really-
LeBron
he
before
was.
LeBron.
He was. But yeah, nobody will compare to Mashburn to me.
To you, for me, I'll go with the homegrown boy. I'm a Darius Miller guy.
Favorite of all time?
Yep.
Damn.
Love me some Darius Miller.
I love Darius
Hey,
Miller
he made
too.
a lot of money in the NBA, big contracts. They said because that's when NBA was really starting to track efficiency. They said the dude was super efficient. He was super efficient in Kentucky. He needed to shoot the ball more. He was a soft-hearted kid, man. He was a shy kid. He did everything. He did nothing superstarish. He did everything really good.
He got him a title. Got him a title.
He
there.
was good. I love Darius. And you know, I always think about the picture with him and Tony Delk. Darius was like 7, 8 years old, and
I know what you're talking about. I've seen that.
I love that he grew up a fan and lived his dream, did it humble, carried himself well, and was so underrated. So underrated. He made some really big NBA contracts. His first one wasn't monstrous, but his second and third contracts were really big.
All right, so the team's in Lipscomb, High Point. High Point is Tubby's team. They're good. They're like 30-5. They got a really good team. So I'll be cheering for High Point. I'm sure they'll probably get like a 15 seed or something crazy, but I'll be cheering for them. UNC Wilmington, we actually have some history with them. I think they beat us like last year or 2 years ago.
Did you pull against Minnesota when Tubby went to Minnesota?
No, absolutely not.
It's kind of the same situation.
As what?
Who, Dad?
It ain't nowhere near the same situation.
He left. It's almost
we
the
never
same.
had to face Minnesota, and they ain't in our
Yeah, but I'm just saying though, like
conference.
he didn't like he kind of left, kind of got ran off. I mean,
not the same.
That's it. That part of it is maybe that we don't face them.
We did not fall off like we did when in Cal's last few years.
We fell off. We fell off with
Shit.
Tubby. We fell off with Tubby a lot. Recruiting, it fell off bad.
The recruiting, it fell
Yeah,
off.
we had fell off with Tubby. We had. I love Tubby. And I didn't pull against him. I pulled for him in Minnesota.
I've never pulled against Tubby.
pulled for
But
him.
if Tubby would have went back to Georgia, I would have pulled against Tubby.
Sure, I would have pulled against him when he played us.
Yeah. So, yeah, UNC Wilmington gets in. Robert Morris, we got history with both of them. Drake is in.
Drake.
Wonder if Lamar's in. No, I think Lamar got beat, but
Is P. Diddy in?
Drake's actually good too, though. They got like 4 losses on the year.
I heard something that P. Diddy might be getting out of prison.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
That dude ain't never getting out. St. Francis, SIUE. Can you guess what SIUE stands for?
Southern Illinois.
I think that's right.
What is it?
I don't know.
Southern Illinois University, Eastern.
Something. Yep, that's it. I really have no clue, but I do think that's it.
What's the E stand for? Eastern?
Maybe.
SIUE.
SIUE. Suey. American, Wofford, McNeese, Omaha, Troy, and Gonzaga. Gonzaga comes back after getting swept in the regular season by St. Mary's, and they beat St. Mary's in the title game. I think it was like 50-48 or something. That game was last night.
Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville.
Exactly what we said. Edwardsville. I knew it.
Good stuff.
Tonight, there is one more championship game. Who is it? The Big Sky Championship, Montana versus North Colorado. Who you got?
I like Montana.
Hell yeah, I love Montana. What do you know about Montana? Can you name one thing that's in the state of Montana?
Yeah,
I have no clue what's
the big
in Montana.
ranch, Yellowstone.
Yellowstone,
Ranch.
that's in Montana?
The movie Yellowstone.
I've never seen it.
You never watched Yellowstone?
The TV show?
Yeah.
No, I've never
the
seen
Dutton
it.
Ranch is in Yellowstone.
All right. Well, at least we knew something. That was
Which is
Montana.
that part of Yellowstone's in Montana.
I'll give you credit because I literally could not tell you. You know the capital of Montana? You're
Doings or Dillings or dude, I'm bad with names, but
I guarantee you it's not Dillings.
Billings. Hold on.
I'll give you credit though. At least you took a shot at it. I couldn't tell you one thing in the state of Montana at all.
No, I was wrong.
But I'm with you. I'm going Montana.
Helena. Helena.
Helena?
Yeah, Helena. I thought it was Billings.
I do not remember. Helena, Montana?
Yeah, I ain't never heard of it either. I know
I
it's.
don't not remember that.
I would like the Billings is a city in Montana. It's not the capital.
At least Anthony knows a couple things about Montana. I didn't know shit about Montana.
It's in Yellowstone County, so Billings is in Yellowstone County.
So one more ticket will be punched tonight. I'm sure there's a couple finals tomorrow. Oklahoma just won. Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a couple more small. These smaller ones are pretty much rounding up, though.
They're playing for a lot. They pretty much know. I say that.
I think all of them might be about over now.
I like that they get them over and give themselves a break.
Yeah, I had to look at the lineup for tomorrow. Oh, I tried to click tomorrow. It's today. It's fucking 12:05. I clicked tomorrow and it said no games tomorrow.
Well, let me tell you something, Blitz the Bookie people and listeners. It's 12:05. I get up at 4:50 for work. Right at 5 o'clock. I still got to go home. I'll still probably take a shower because I can't go to bed without a shower. That's how much I love our listeners. We've had a busy week at work, and then we got started baseball practice today outside, which was a lot of fun.
That pushed the podcast back a couple hours. We had our first outdoor practice up here in Kentucky. It's kind of warmed up a little bit, so we got out.
Fever.
Supposed to be playing baseball this weekend, but it's supposed to rain, so who knows what'll happen. But yeah, we got pushed back a little bit tonight. It is late again, but look,
this is how we got started, Charlie. So back to our roots.
Back to the roots of finishing at 12 after midnight. Well, let's see. We went through the SEC. Let's just real quick. Who you got winning the ACC?
Duke.
You got Duke
they're
winning
not beating Duke in that. I think Duke's good. I really do. I think they're good. I don't think much else in the ACC is good, but that don't mean they're not good. I'll say Duke's going to win it. I'm going to say Duke and Michigan State in the Big Ten.
Yeah, Michigan State, they're actually looking real good right now, and you know that Izzo knows how to get it done in March.
A big shout out to Izzo. It's hard to stay good for that many years when the game's changing. Izzo always seems to be able to make the next move. Big shout out to Izzo. I've always been okay with Izzo, but the guy, he's been able to adapt. That is hard to do. You see so many coaches go ahead and retire. It's hard to adapt. He's been able to do it. Right when you think he's done, he bounces right back.
You remember that Izzo was real close to being Kentucky's coach when we got Cal.
I remember that.
Remember what happened was they beat Louisville, I think.
Yep.
In a tournament game.
And Louisville was better than them that year. And I hate to say that. Louisville was really good. I was so happy when Michigan State beat them because I didn't want Louisville to win it. And that's when they had T. Will, I think Earl Clark. They were really good.
If Michigan State loses that game, almost surely, because he was supposed to come talk to Barnhart, I think the next day. But they ended up winning and going another week or another game. I think it was to the next week. I think that game got him to the next week.
So was Bill Parcells.
But that ended up ultimately bringing us Calipari, which I love. I'm so glad we got Cal over Izzo. I like Izzo. Think Izzo's a great coach, one of the best coaches of all times. But I wouldn't trade what we had with Cal for Izzo.
And
There's no way I would.
Izzo belongs in Michigan State. I mean, he just does. Once you're somewhere so long, you just got to stay there.
He was going to jump on that Kentucky job, though. Yeah, ACC-wise, I'm sitting here looking at the bracket.
There ain't nothing to look at. Duke's winning that. I'm going to say this. Nobody gets within 10 points of Duke.
It looks like Clemson and Louisville are probably, as long as they both win tomorrow, are going to be set up to play in the semifinal. Duke would be playing either Wake Forest or North Carolina if North Carolina wins tomorrow. It's hard to see Duke getting beat. I mean, I'd say maybe Clemson, but
they're not beating them.
Duke's going to win it. Duke's going to win it, and they're going to do like Auburn because they're not winning it all either. You heard it here. Mark it down. Write it down. Take a picture. Doesn't matter. Duke's not winning it all. They're going to win this weak-ass ACC tournament, but they ain't winning it all. Big 10, I got Maryland.
The Terps.
I've been saying it. I still like him as a sleeper. I'm really not still on that Wisconsin sleeper bandwagon that I said a couple weeks ago.
He woke up.
Wisconsin's Wisconsin.
I get it, man.
I couldn't roll with that too long. I thought I liked him, but they're still Wisconsin.
That's the kind of team I like, Charlie.
But I do like Maryland still, and I do like St. John's, even though I'm going to say this real quick. I kind of dug into St. John's schedule. It's bad.
It don't mean they're not no good, but yeah, you're right.
They've only played like 4 or 5 quad 1 teams all year.
Yep. Don't mean they're not good, but yeah, I agree.
I do think they're good, but will that cupcake schedule hamper them next week or in the next 2 weeks?
Or does it help them because they've been able to stay healthy? Sometimes playing like in the SEC, you get banged up, man. It's tough.
No, I mean, yeah, I agree.
I'm with you,
really,
Charlie.
I'm
with you.
I'm with you. I don't think I do think St. John's makes a little bit of. They're going to make some noise, but I'm going to say maybe like Elite 8. They bounce out in the Elite 8. I don't think they're going to the Final Four winning it all, but I do think they're going to make a run. They got Pitino, and we know what Pitino can do. Pitino and Izzo are 2 of those older coaches that are still sticking around and trying to figure this NIL thing out. A lot of them guys are bailing, but they are 2 of the older guys that have kind of figured it out. So I trust Pitino to make a run. I just don't think.
I think NIL was made for Pitino. They say Mike Rapoli's the one writing the checks up at St. John's.
Yeah, he said that. I actually heard Pitino say, "If I need more money, I just call Mike Rapoli." He straight up said that.
Yeah,
I don't blame him.
Yeah.
I don't blame him. You better feet.
Mike Rapoli stiffed my sister-in-law, dude. Like she ran one of she was waiting their custom
It was him?
thing. It was Mike Rapoli. For 2 days, she waited on his family in a custom booth at Kentucky Derby for 2 days. He gave her like $200 for 2 days. He said, "I'll tip you out the end." She was their private server in their little suite for 2 full days at the track. He tipped her $200 for that. That's all she did was wait on that one.
Motherfucker should have added a 0 to that.
Dude, the guy's a billionaire, dude.
Yeah, he needed to at least add 1 0 to that. I don't.
Dude, she said everybody else was making like. That's why she signed up for it. She didn't even know who he was. She come home. You ever heard of this guy? She said, "Yeah, he's a tight ass." I've waited tables. I've served a little bar. So get it. She said everybody at minimum was making $1,000 a day. They got in those private suites.
Yeah, that sounds right.
$200 for two days.
Nah, 2,000.
Yeah. Tight ass.
Could be way more from him.
Dude, you're a
but
billionaire.
I don't expect
If
anybody
I'm
to
a
tip
billionaire,
20 grand,
listen,
but 2,000 is reasonable.
And Ripoli came from nothing. He came from nothing. How can you, if you came from nothing, I'm not asking you to give me money. Just give me my worth.
That's one of them things where I know
Maybe he lost too
I know
much.
I know she didn't know who he was, but and we've kind of talked about it before, but meeting people and them not being what you expect.
They say Tiger was a tight ass. He didn't want to pay the hookers and stuff. Have you heard that about Tiger?
No.
Like he didn't want to pay them. With all that money, he didn't want to pay. Like they say Tiger was a total tight ass to them women. I mean, got billions of dollars, dude.
Come on, baby. I'm giving you some of the little Tiger. What do you mean? I got to pay for this?
You think it's like it must be a control thing or something. I don't know. If I'm worth, it wouldn't be good for me to be worth that much because I'm a giving person anyways. I'd be handing out money. If I was worth that kind of money, I literally would be handing out money a lot, man. I know I'd go to like kids events.
Oh, I'd give a hell of a tip on a situation like that. If
I'd
I had all
always
that
be
money,
tipping, dude.
shit.
I'd always be. If I have billions of dollars, I mean, the money you make just off your money. I mean, come on, man.
All right. Well, I think we pretty much hit all the top conferences. We didn't touch on the Big 12. I'm going to just say Houston because Kansas is bad. Did Kansas even win tonight? They were in a tight game when we first started.
I'll take Texas Tech.
Texas Tech. Kansas beat UCF 98-94 in overtime.
Might have saved Self. Self's on the hot seat right now, which is ridiculous, but
Yeah.
that's a very similar situation.
I wouldn't say it's a hot seat situation. It's more of a
They act like it is, man. That's what stuff I've read. Now I haven't followed it real close, but they say the fans are
but
restless.
I don't call that a hot seat. I call that just time's up, man. Maybe just time's up. This has got to be a hot seat. Can't it just be?
Do you just quit?
Time's up?
Do you just quit when time's up, or do you keep fighting? The dog in you wants to keep fighting.
Mark Stoops says, "Fuck it, I'm gonna fight through this shit."
Mark
He
Stoops
had an
ain't-
interview the other day. Sounded pretty good, really.
Right. Fuck, I wouldn't give up the money either. He ain't gonna get that on no other deal right now with the situation that he's in. He would get another deal, but right now he's getting paid pretty sweet.
Bill self-pride. I don't know. Maybe he retires. I don't know. I have no clue where his head's at with it, but he's been there a long time. I want to say
He's won a whole
20 years.
He's won a lot there too. Hey, that's worth something. Love me during my great years, but support me during my bad years. Fans are too quick with it.
Yeah, but like I said, maybe it's just time. I don't know. I'm not inside the Kansas fan base, but maybe
Charlie,
it's
if
one of
I
them
ever run a
situations.
team, I'm gonna call you in. I say, guys, when you see Charlie, you just know it's not time to be fired. Just time to go.
Hell yeah!
What's that saying about the
just time-
bars? You don't gotta go home, but you can't
Get the
stay
hell out!
here.
Just get the hell out of here. I'm saying. All right. I think we're about done, Anthony.
That's it.
I think we're about done. Bubble teams the next couple of days to keep an eye on. North Carolina better get a win tomorrow against Wake Forest or they're going to be out. West Virginia, Vandy, Oklahoma. Actually, Vandy lost today, so they could be out. Oklahoma just got done winning, so good for them. But looks like the biggest team right now that's kind of on the bubble is North Carolina. So you know what their record is against Quad 1 teams? 1-11.
1-11. They are playing better as of late, though. I do know that. They played Duke.
1-11.
They would have got that Duke win. That would have got them in.
It might have, but it looks like they're going to have to get a win tomorrow. I saw a crazy stat I was going to show you.
Always remember the Carolina factor. I don't know if it's still this way, but for a lot of years it was. The main person at Coke, the CEO or one of the main owners, is a big North Carolina alumnus, graduate. I don't know if it's still this way, but Coke was like the number one sponsor of NCAA March Madness. They got a lot of pull, especially when you're writing those kind of checks. So I don't know if that still flies, but I do think for a lot of years that was the case.
I thought I had a little stat. Oh, here it is. Record versus AP top 25 teams this year. Kentucky 8-4. This is against top 25 teams.
Yep.
The ACC total record against top 25 teams this year 7-8. 7-61.
And what's sad about it is some of them, they probably got some of those 7 wins because somebody in their league had to be winning the game. So there was a few top 25 teams in it. So they probably got a few of those from their own league.
Yeah, like Clemson against Duke or something.
Yeah. Even Louisville. I think Louisville's decent, but
Look at that.
Yeah. And I would
Kentucky's 8-4 against top 25. The ACC has only got 7 wins, and they've lost 61. I know we've talked about the SEC being the best.
How do you only
have
7 wins against top 25 teams in a major conference for the whole year? Think about that. It's even in your conference.
Is that the worst conference of all time?
I thought the ACC was really down. I think becoming the SEC and the Big Ten.
We've talked about the SEC possibly being the best conference of all time.
I think it is.
I'm sitting here looking at a 7-61 record against top 25.
I'll say this. From what I've looked at, what I remember, there's no conference better than the SEC is this year.
Yeah, but is there a conference worse than the ACC?
No, maybe not. And when I was growing up, the ACC was what it was for college basketball.
The ACC was the top school, the top conference.
And I hate to say it, but it was.
And the Big East was on fire there for
a
while,
was.
too.
I agree.
But yeah, the ACC was where it was at. Duke, Carolina, that's when Maryland was in there.
Even the weaker teams like Wake Forest, Maryland, all those teams are pretty tough back then. Virginia, Tobacco Road there. It was a really strong conference.
Yeah, so that was a crazy stat that I saw. But I'm telling you, you Louisville fans, you Duke fans, you Clemson fans, good luck, because I'm telling you that cupcake schedule that y'all have had all year is going to come back to bite you in the ass. All right. Next week, the bracket will be set. We'll be back. Hopefully not Wednesday night at midnight.
We need to try to – I just got to look at my schedule. I can't say nothing yet.
Yeah, I know. We'll figure it out, but we'll be back same time, same place next week with a bracket set. Hopefully Kentucky makes a run here this weekend. Let's at least get a win. We haven't had a postseason win in a few years. Let's get the monkey off our back, beat Oklahoma, and set up a hell of a Friday night game against Alabama. Let's make a run. And either way it goes, Anthony, I think we're sitting on at least a 3 or at worst a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I think we're going to take care of Oklahoma. It's going to be a tough game against Alabama, but ready to get some wins and ready for March Madness.
Yes, sir.
Guys, thanks for listening. We really appreciate it. Enjoy the games, man. Enjoy the games. This is the time of the year that gets really exciting. I know Charlie loves it all the time. I'm that way about college football. But for me, the tournament time, it's really fun. So enjoy it like I'm going to enjoy it and have a lot of fun with it. But thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Let's go get these wins. Cats, Terps, let's get it done. See y'all next week. Blitz the Bookie.
Charlie got the mic, he's dropping facts all day. Anthony's like, nah, I got the better parlay. Argue about the spread, it's a fierce debate. But when it comes to Wildcats, they align their fate. Blitz the bookies where the knowledge reigns. Charlie and Anthony bring the heat like flames. Talking parlays, breaking down the games. Kentucky Wildcats, they beat the same drums. Late nights, hustle deals on the line. Charlie Scats, he's gonna make you shine. Anthony's heart where the numbers combine. Put your cash down, ride the incline. Blitz the bookies where the knowledge reigns. Charlie and Anthony bring the heat like flames. Talking parlays, breaking down the games. Kentucky Wildcats, they beat the same drums. From the tip off to the final play, they grind. Mike's on fire, bets on their minds. Arguing odds till the last rewind. Blue and white, it's a bond you'll find. The bookies where the knowledge reigns. Charlie and Anthony bring the heat like flames. Talking parlays, breaking down the games. Kentucky Wildcats, they beat the same drums. they grind. Mics on fire, bets on their minds. Arguing us till the last rewind. Blue and white, it's a bond you'll find. Bond you'll find. Blitz the bookies where the knowledge reigns. Charlie and Anthony bring the heat like flames. Talking parlays, breaking down the games. Kentucky Wildcats, they beat the same drum.